The St James Way, a modern British pilgrimage route that links the historic city of Reading with the medieval port of Southampton on England's south coast. Covering roughly 69 miles, the route follows quiet footpaths, ancient tracks, rolling countryside and historic villages, connecting two places that share a deep association with St James. At one end lies Reading Abbey, which was said to have housed the hand of St James as a treasured medieval relic. At the other stands Southampton, one of the principal ports from which pilgrims departed for the Camino de Santiago in Spain. This pilgrimage would be a little different from my previous adventures. Rather than walking alone, I would be sharing the road with my mum Christine. So join us as we follow the yellow shells across southern England, walking in the footsteps of countless pilgrims who came before us on the St James Way. The journey begins by passing alongside the ruins of Reading Abbey before reaching the first Camino way marker, where we paused for the obligatory photo. Known as Mahones in Spain, these granite pillars point the way and mark the remaining distance to Santiago de Compostela. But a word of warning, context matters. Outside the Camino, Mahones has a rather less glamorous meaning. From there, the route follows the River Kennet out of the city, through the suburbs and industrial outskirts, before gradually giving way to the peace and quiet of the Berkshire countryside. Just done, just over 4 kilometres. We started at St James Church this morning, about 8 o'clock, and finally leaving the outskirts of Reading now, following the towpath. So we left about 8 o'clock, and within the first 100 metres we had to take a diversion. The bridge to the towpath was closed, so we had to cut through the town a little bit. But now we're back on here. Unfortunately we didn't get the stamp from the church or the museum. The museum's closed on Sundays, so bad luck. And we were a bit late last night to catch the arriving into Reading before the museum closed. So if you want that stamp, you need to make sure you get there before 5 o'clock and not a Sunday. So we've just done 7 kilometres and we've got to a nice little pub called the Cunning Man. It's a great little pub for a cup of tea, nice rest stop, but more importantly, we got our first stamp. Happy days. Now it's back on the towpath for another 4 kilometres or so to the next pub. Hopefully get another stamp. The route never strayed far from the river, and by now, away from the city, surrounded by sunshine, nature and birdsong, I felt myself relax into the walk. These are the moments when I'm at my happiest, and sharing the experience with my mum made them even more special. The terrain was flat and easy to follow. The kilometres slipped by almost unnoticed, and as midday approached, our stomachs began to rumble. just passing through a nature reserve right now, so you can hear all the birds and the wild waterfowl in the background squawking away. We stopped at the Fox and Hounds at Sheffield Bottom for some lunch and a pint, and got our second stamp of the day. We saw a couple more pilgrims enter, although they literally got the stamp and left, so I didn't have a chance to chat to them. But yeah, we're heading on now. We're about just coming up to halfway for the day. The scenery changed from here, moving across farmland and open fields. One had a cow grazing, an animal my mum isn't too keen on.
Say cheese.
Cheese. Cows. Is it bananas?
It is. We paused at St Mary's Church in Silchester Abbey to collect the pilgrim stamp from this quaint little church before tackling this gentle climb into Burfield. The village made the perfect place to stop for a nice lolly on what had become a very warm afternoon. From there, the route led us through peaceful woodland, guided by the familiar yellow arrows painted on the trees. Eventually, we reached the point where we had to leave the official route and made our way to our accommodation for the night. The Vere Wakefield Estate, a magnificent stately home turned hotel, set among sprawling grounds and a golf course. It felt wonderfully luxurious, perhaps a little too upmarket for two pilgrims after a day on the trail. Shortly after 8:30, we left the stately hotel after enjoying a breakfast fit for nobility. Retracing our steps from the previous evening, we followed a footpath through wheat fields, rejoining the route at Mortimer. We arrived a little too early to collect the pilgrim stamp from the horse and groom, so there was nothing to do but to keep walking. Leaving the village behind, we crossed from Berkshire to Hampshire, a small milestone but one that reminded us we were steadily making our way south towards Southampton. Morning. We just left Mortimer. We stopped at a co-op to grab some supplies before heading back onto the St James Way. Last night was okay. The hotel's a bit posh for stinky pilgrims, but it was good enough. It's bed, food and water. There's nothing more than you'd want. We clearly had golfing parties. Spending a weekend away, so it was quite lively in the bar. The downside was throughout the night you had people coming and going and keeping you awake, but never mind. Yeah, so it's a bit cooler today, a bit more pleasant to walk. One thing that's quite good about this trail is it's very well signposted. You've got the yellow arrows, our constant companion on the continent and through Spain, and you also got the stickers that point the way. So if you never done a Camino before and you fancy practicing a bit, spotting the arrows, this is a good one to do. To get yourself prepared, get used to walking it and carrying a backpack and do a multi-day walk. We stopped for a short break at St Mary's Church, Silchester, enjoying the cool refuge it offered from the growing heat. Silchester stands on the site of a Roman town, its impressive earthwork walls still encircling much of the ancient settlement, a reminder of just how significant a place it once was. From the church we followed a long gravel track through the Roman site before meeting two walkers heading in the opposite direction. We stopped for a chat, and one told us she'd walked St James Way the previous October. Her advice was to brace ourselves, as the stretch ahead to Basingstoke was, in her words, rather uninspiring. But I've learnt to take these opinions with a pinch of salt. Many people describe the meseta on the Camino de Santiago as dull, yet I found it one of my favourite sections of the entire French way. Sometimes the beauty of the walk isn't found in dramatic scenery, but in the space it gives you to think. Come out of Bramley to have some food at a nice little farm shop called the Barn. It's just opposite the church, the St James's Church in Bramley, and good portions of food and just what we needed to halfway point. It's been pretty uneventful really from Silchester. It's going through a lot of land that's been converted into solar farms, so the scenery wasn't too good. But other than that, the weather's holding out. As you see, it's nice and warm and sunny. And the next stop is Basingstoke. After stopping for a well-earned cold beer, the scenery began to improve. The route crossed rolling farmland and passed through tiny villages before reaching the outskirts of Basingstoke. It also became a little overgrown as we skirted Weybrook Golf Course. By now it was getting late in the day, and my mum was beginning to tire. I told her it was around a 20-kilometre day, but by this point we'd already covered 23, and another 3 still to go. Our progress had also been delayed by an owl whose wing had become entangled in barbed wire. Despite my best efforts, I couldn't free it. The poor thing was exhausted and kept looking at me with what felt like pleading eyes. Thankfully, I caught the attention of a local dog walker who went to fetch a nearby farmer for help. Feeling helpless, there was little more I could do than support the owl by lifting its talons to the wire, taking some of the strain off its injured wing. By the time we finally reached Worthing, it was after 6 o'clock. As the St James Way bypasses the centre of Basingstoke, we decided to catch transport into town to reach our hotel for the night. Morning. Just on the outskirts of Basingstoke, following an old Roman road. As you can see, it's really just long and straight. So, yeah, yesterday was quite a late one. We didn't finish till about 7 o'clock. Well, we didn't get into our accommodation for the night until about 7 o'clock. So I didn't have time to do a end of day sort of briefing. But yeah, it was quite tough yesterday. We had we took a bit too long at one of the pubs in Pamber End, and then we had to stop for a bit trying to rescue an owl that got its wing all snared up on a barbed wire fence. That took our time. So yeah, it was quite a long, late one yesterday. We were thankful for the shaded start to the day. The temperature was already climbing and it was clear it was going to be a hot one. To make matters worse, this would also be our longest day on the trail. 29 kilometres lay ahead of us, which was a small detail I had conveniently forgotten to mention to my mum. Had she known the truth, I'm fairly sure she would have caught the bus. Just left Dummer, little village outside of Basingstoke, so very quiet there. Stopped at the Queen's Inn, something like that. It was closed unfortunately, but we stopped in like a little table and beer garden, had some water. And if you look out the front, there's the defibrillator box, and next to that there's a separate box with a little compass on and a map, and there's your stamp. So even if it's closed, you can still get your stamp in Dummer, that is. So now, just in the countryside, following another long straight road. And yeah, next stop is Preston Camden or something along those lines. Preston Camden, something like that. But apparently there's a pub there which has been done up by 3 millionaires. So it's meant to be all swanky, so let's see if they let 2 stinky pilgrims in. We'll definitely bring down the clientele, I reckon, when we go in there. Yeah, we'll see. The day grew hotter as we crossed open fields, with horseflies relentlessly dive-bombing my legs. I managed to fend them all off with some rather frantic arm waving, all except one. Reaching Preston Candover couldn't have come at a better time. We made a beeline for the community shop where a cold drink was exactly what we needed. We skipped the village pub, leaving Preston Candover by road before heading back into the crop fields. Following a hedgerow, the route suddenly became a test of observation. The usual waymarker post was nowhere to be seen. Instead, the yellow arrow had been held in place by a rock, almost hidden in the long grass, directing us through a small gap in the hedge. After a short stretch of road walking, we followed a farm track as the wind began to pick up and the clouds rolled in. It looked as though rain wasn't far away. We were relieved to arrive in Alresford after a long day on the trail, where we checked into what would turn out to be the best accommodation of the entire pilgrimage.
Rain, rain.
Rainy rain. Rainy rain. So we just left Alresford, had a good night at the Swan Inn. It was a hotel, it was not bad, it was the nice comfy rooms, quite quiet for a change after the last few places. It was quite noisy, so our sleep was disturbed, but last night it was brilliant. Bit of a tough day for my mum yesterday. It was 29 kilometres. I didn't tell her it was going to be that long in the morning, and I did the typical walking friend. He says, almost there, one more hill, just round the next bend, not far to go. And which saw obviously complete fibs. Well, I don't think she's going to trust me again now after that. But yeah, she did well, 29 kilometres. And it was a very hot day yesterday as well. We had a lot of sunshine. And after Preston Candover, there wasn't very many stops after that. In fact, there wasn't any. There's no pubs or anything like that, so we had to make do with any little bench or tree log we could find to just have a rest. But yeah, good day yesterday. That's day 4. We unfortunately got the rain today. It's not heavy, light rain, so it's nice and cool, but not worth putting on the full-on waterproofs. So yeah, we're doing well. We'll see how it goes. Winchester today. And it's only a short one, it's about 16 kilometres, and yeah, we're stopping right behind the cathedral, so we've got probably have a missed afternoon in Winchester and just relaxing. Fish. At Ovington, the route passes through a small nature reserve, where swans glide across the water and birdsong drifts down from the trees. Despite the wet weather, this is one of the highlights of the day. Being surrounded by nature is one of the things that continually draws me back to pilgrimage. Even on the more challenging days, places like this remind me why the journey is worthwhile. Leaving the reserve behind, the path crossed open fields before climbing the only hill of the day, bringing us to the golf course, where a small cafe welcomes both golfers and passing walkers, a very convenient stop for us. We stopped for lunch at Martyr Worthy, taking the opportunity to try out our trainers and air our feet after a wet morning. I found myself simply soaking in the peace and quiet of my surroundings. From there, the route crossed open fields before reaching the outskirts of Winchester. in at the King Alfred for a quick pint, where passing pilgrims can also collect a stamp. A short walk brought us to Winchester Cathedral, the heart of this historic city and the ancient capital of England. We took our time exploring the magnificent building, pausing to admire the beautifully carved stone high altar depicting Jesus and his apostles. I couldn't help but smile when I spotted St. James amongst them, dressed in his familiar pilgrim's garb. From there, we checked into our accommodation before spending the rest of the afternoon exploring the city. The penultimate day began with drizzle once again. The route led us out of the city to join the banks of the River Itchen, which we would follow for the remainder of this stage. At just over 14 kilometres, it was another relatively short day. Before long we reached the Hospital of St. Cross, where those setting out on the old way from Winchester can still receive the traditional wayfarer's dole. Offered at the porter's lodge, it consists of a small piece of bread and horn of ale, a simple act of hospitality that has welcomed travellers for over 900 years. From here, my mum had to summon all her courage for an encounter with her least favourite farm animal. Morning. After we left Alresford, we went to a little place called Ovington, and past there you enter a nature reserve, and the path sort of goes between two streams, and it was such a great part of the walk. You had swans just sifting through the silt in the bottom of the river beds. You had fish swimming in the stream, the bird songs, just, it's like a morning chorus. It was great. And then it was pretty much across fields. It was quite an easy day, not very many hills. We had a couple of encounters with some cows, but they were only calves, so they didn't really do much. There was two walkers who turned around a bit scared of them. I don't know why, but some people are, I suppose. We've got a few churches, and got some stamps from there. The sun came out, and then we got to Winchester, and Winchester was alright. The cathedral was not what I expected, not really aesthetically pleasing, shall I say, but it was good. It's the resting place of St. Swithin's.
Thanks.
No worries.
Cheers.
This path's been empty, and I thought I'd do the narration now, and everybody's coming. Typical. Winchester's okay. Went to the oldest pub in England, the Royal Oak, and Edward the Confessor stayed there, and Charles II sort of refuge away from Oliver Cromwell. Had a couple of pints there, and just that was pretty much it. A nice relaxed evening. Today is day 5, and it's a bit drizzly this morning. But we just left Winchester now, going through a little footpath that follows a little river, and we'll just see how we go. Should be an easy one today, not too much distance wise, but it's Eastleigh today. It was a welcome change to be following the river. The sound of the flowing water was soothing, while the banks teemed with wildlife. In the shallows, hundreds of tiny fish basked in the warmer water, with the occasional one breaking the surface in pursuit of its prey. Damselflies danced gracefully above the river. As the day progressed, the rain gradually cleared, revealing another warm afternoon. A welcome stop at the Ham Farm pub was just what we needed, and a cold beer refreshed us before continuing on our way. Rejoining the river, another pleasant stretch followed before we entered the industrial town of Eastleigh. The soothing sounds of the flowing water and birdsong gradually gave way to the rumble of trains and the noise of industry.
I'm going to pick that up.
Morning. So we just left Eastleigh now, back followed the river for a bit on the a very overgrown footpath again, and now we're just sort of moving away from the river, but it's still overgrown, as you probably see. It's like a jungle. Eastleigh was okay. It was actually what I expected. It's a proper industrial, busy town, and a lot of trains coming and going. And just people milling around and whatnot. We found a nice little pub called the Steamworks, which is engineered themed and train themed. This furniture made out of carriage seats, and they did some decent beer and good food. And then it was just pretty much relaxed, and then setting off today. This is day 6 now, the last one, Southampton day, and it should be a short walk. Oh, this sun is absolutely baking today. Looking at the weather, it's about to hit a heat wave next week, so it's the start of this heat wave, so it's going to be a hot one next week. But yeah, it's been a good little trip, this one. And so as we're coming into Southampton now, we're just past a little bit of industry, and inevitably that's what happens on these walks. You do get the clamour and the clanging and sounds and smells of industry as you approach the cities, and as much as it's not pleasant, but it's quite an important aspect of any pilgrimage, because it signals the end of the walk, and it also helps you sort of acclimatise you get back into the real world. So it's as much as you might disdain it, it's actually an important aspect to the journey. And you've got to remember, back in the days of medieval times, it's the same sort of thing. They're coming into towns that have the horse and carts and the smells and all sorts. So back then it's the same back then as it is now. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get to Southampton in a good amount of time, spend the afternoon relaxing and just celebrating the end of the journey. And then tomorrow it's a train back home for the weekend, and then back to work on Monday. This section tested my patience. The overgrown path was choked with nettles, brambles and every manner of snagging plant. I was pleased to finally reach the outskirts of Southampton, my legs even more so. It looked as though they'd lost a battle with a cat. From there, the route followed well-maintained parks, a welcome contrast to the wilderness we'd just endured. The pathways were busy with people making the most of the sunshine, while the scent of the sea drifted through the air as we drew closer to the city. Passing beneath the medieval city walls, we began the final stretch to the finish. Along the way we passed the last UK Mahon, standing outside the ruins of Holyrood Church. From there the route led us to the ferry terminal, reaching as far as the path would take us. Beyond lay the Solent, where medieval pilgrims would once have boarded ships to continue their journey towards Spain. Our final stop was the God's House Tower, where we collected our St James's Way certificates, marking the completion of another pilgrimage.